Okay, if you're a leader, you've probably felt it. The old rules of management, they just aren't cutting it anymore. So today, we're gonna build a brand new playbook, one that actually works in this new era of work. Let's do it, slide by slide. So let's kick things off with a single number, 80%. Yeah, 80. According to the American Institute of Stress, that's the percentage of employees who are probably feeling stressed on the job, like right now. I mean, that's a huge number, right? And it points to this massive disconnect in the way we've been taught to lead. And that really begs the question, doesn't it? Is that old top-down leadership playbook, is that what's to blame here? We're gonna go ahead and say yes. And the very first rule in our new playbook, well, it might actually surprise you. All right, rule number 1. This is a bit counterintuitive, so stay with me. It doesn't start with looking out at your team. Nope, it starts by looking in the mirror. Because you know what? Great leadership, it always starts with leading yourself first. And the foundation for leading yourself? It's all about mastering something that researcher Jim Collins calls Level 5 leadership. Now, the magic of this idea is in its mix. You've got this deep, personal humility on one side and this intense, almost stubborn professional will on the other. So it's not about your ego, it's not about being the loudest voice, it's about taking all that ambition you have and just pouring it into the organization, having this fierce resolve to make the whole thing succeed. And you can really see that humility in action here. You know, when a true level 5 leader like Satya Nadella talks about a win, you'll notice the focus is never on I, it's always on we. These are the leaders who take the blame when things go wrong, but are the first to pass the credit right over to their people when things go right.
Okay, so how do you actually get there? It really comes down to 2 key things for building up that self-awareness. First, you've got to go out and actively ask for candid feedback. I mean, really ask for it. Think of your team as a mirror that can show you your blind spots. And second, it's about using self-assessment tools to get a more objective, outside look at your own strengths and, let's be honest, your tendencies.
And this right here, this is the turning point. It's so crucial. Because it's only when you can truly lead yourself that you're ready to make that shift, to stop just managing people, and to start really truly seeing them. Okay, so after you've mastered yourself, the focus shifts. You turn your attention outward to really deeply understanding the people on your team. And we're not just talking about managing tasks anymore. This is about seeing and unlocking their true potential.
But you know, there's a little glitch in our brains that gets in the way here. It's this cognitive bias that's basically hardwired into how we think. It's called the fundamental attribution error. Here's how it works. When someone on your team misses a deadline, your first thought is probably something like, ugh, they're so disorganized. But when you miss a deadline, oh, well, then it's because my workload was just impossible. See the difference? Just knowing that bias exists is the first step to beating it. Because think about it. How can you unlock someone's potential if you're starting from a place of misjudging their character?
So, unlocking potential. It means you have to go way deeper than just looking at performance metrics. You've got to figure out the answer to this one fundamental question. What really motivates people to show up and bring their A game, long after the paycheck has already been deposited?
And the data on this gives us a massive clue. Check this out. Research shows that when people feel respected at work, their job satisfaction and engagement shoots up by 55%. And get this, they become 110% more likely to stay with the company. The takeaway here is so clear. Respect isn't just some nice-to-have soft skill. It is the essential ingredient for unlocking potential.
All right, so once you have that self-awareness and empathy locked in, now you can finally move on from just managing a bunch of individuals to actually building a real high-performing team. But here's the thing, just putting a bunch of smart people in a room together doesn't magically create a team. In fact, most groups are totally crippled by this domino effect of 5 dysfunctions. It all starts with a lack of trust. And when you don't have trust, people are afraid to be vulnerable, which means they're afraid of healthy conflict. And if you can't have conflict, you can't get real commitment, which, you guessed it, leads to people avoiding accountability. And the final domino to fall? Nobody's paying attention to the actual results. And this brings us to a really important difference that every single leader needs to get. A group is just a collection of individuals coordinating their own work. But a team is something else entirely. They're all in on a common goal, and this is the key part, they hold each other accountable. They win together and they lose together. It's a totally different dynamic.
You know, the most effective teams we see today are often set up to be agile, and they have a few things in common. They're kept intentionally small, maybe 3 to 6 people, so they can move fast. They are laser focused on one single piece of the puzzle. They're given complete ownership. It's their baby. And so importantly, they have all the different kinds of expertise they need right there, inside the team.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got our 3 big rules: lead yourself, see their potential, and build a real team. Now it's time for the master key, the one skill that kind of unlocks and powers up everything else we've talked about in this new playbook.
Hey, remember this number? 80%. Well, it's back, but for a totally different reason. It turns out that managers spend a staggering 80% of their day just communicating with people. I mean, think about that. It is by far the single biggest chunk of the job.
But here's the catch. Just because you're spending all that time communicating doesn't mean you're doing it effectively. And actually, the most powerful leadership skill hidden inside that 80% is often the quietest one.
Yeah, research shows that something like 75% of effective communication has nothing to do with what you say. It's all about how well you listen.
But here's the problem, right? We all know listening is important, but most of us only spend about 30 to 40% of our communication time actually doing it. What are we doing the rest of the time? We're just waiting for our turn to talk. This is what we call the listening gap, and it's a huge deal. It's the space where trust just evaporates and all that potential gets lost.
You know, at the end of the day, the legendary management guru Peter Drucker really nailed it. He said that organizations are increasingly built on trust. Trust is the new currency of leadership. And you don't earn it by giving big speeches or sending out company-wide memos. You earn it by closing your mouth and truly, genuinely listening to your people. So, let's leave you with one final thought to take with you. Forget about your next big announcement or your next all-hands meeting for a second. Just think about this. What is one single conversation you could have today with just one person on your team if your only goal was to truly, deeply listen?